For a lot of people, and myself included, youth revolved around an urge to grow up, to be the adults we saw on TV, who traveled the world by themselves, who fell in love, who worked their dream jobs. I can't wait to grow up, I would think to myself. Then I would be cool and pretty and have freedom. Fast forward to 2021, and there has been a surge in the popularity of KIDCORE, an aesthetic adopted by teenagers and adults who ache to turn back the clock. Why do we suddenly want our childhood back? I don't have many KIDCORE fashion items, but I tried my best to emulate the aesthetic today to match our topic. So what is KIDCORE? A lot of people probably know what KIDCORE is, or at least have heard of it, but for those who haven't, it's an aesthetic that involves a lot of bright colors, nostalgia for icons, music, TV show characters / movies from the 90s or early 2000s, and kid themes, obviously. It started off on Tumblr in the early 2010s as satire in response to the overflowing, quote, preteen millennial nostalgia of the 1990s. Think Nirvana, Metallica, and early 90s fashion, which was largely grunge inspired. You know, the chokers, flannels, denim jackets, logo tees. But KIDCORE has recently become mainstream after being co-opted by Gen Z and gaining lots of traction on TikTok. Fully embracing KIDCORE is not as common from what I've seen. I think indie, Y2K, and cottagecore are some aesthetics that people adopt more holistically. So they'll not only dress cottagecore, but they'll also decorate their rooms that way and listen to music associated with that aesthetic. Whereas for KIDCORE, people tend to pick and choose, and there are certain aspects of KIDCORE that have become extremely popular. These include stuffed animals, a lot of people buying plushies, like the Squishmallows Charli D'Amelio had, Sanrio characters, Care Bears, and just kids' toys in general becoming a lot more popular. For example, I remember it was a trend for a while to buy a kids' toy camera and take pictures or vlog your day on it, or to buy kids' makeup. A lot of really popular jewelry and accessories right now are definitely KIDCORE inspired. The gummy bears, beaded necklaces, the Takashi Murakami flower, little colorful clips and childish headbands, clay rings, cute bandages. I could go on and on. Stickers. People love stickers nowadays, and also those press-on tattoos. And of course, nostalgia over old kids' TV shows. Often cartoons like Totally Spies, Bratz, Hello Kitty, Pokemon, and Winx Club. As you probably noticed, there's overlap with other aesthetics like Y2K, indie, cyber, decora, Sanrio-core. Fashion in general has gotten a lot more colorful and funky and extravagant since the pandemic to make up for the dull and depressing reality that we have had to cope with. Aesthetics have also been centered around a nostalgia for the past for a while now. Again, that grunge 90s aesthetic was popping off back when I was in middle school. And we also had a vintage 80s/90s revival a few years ago. Think scrunchies, mom jeans, tucked in shirts, windbreakers. So it's nothing new for aesthetics to reminisce over the past. But why is KIDCORE, a nostalgia specifically for childhood, becoming popular? I think it's because this generation of teenagers and young adults are realizing that we're entering an era that is just not kind to adults. And the pandemic has only exacerbated that unkind character. When we were kids, dreaming of taking road trips with friends, buying cute clothes, and being independent, we never foresaw the ridiculous inflation of prices. The housing market has gotten insane, especially in urban cities where, unfortunately, most profitable job opportunities lie and where most of the best schools exist as well. I'm looking to rent an apartment in Toronto right now, and a one-bedroom, one-bathroom place costs around $1.4K per month. In 2014, my parents bought our house for $800K, and now it could sell for $2 million. Food prices have gone up. School tuition is, what? $100K to $200K for higher education in America. Most people are not wealthy enough to pay this, so we gotta borrow student loans, which usually take around 10 to 30 years to pay off. I could be 40 years old and still be paying for an education that was supposed to pay for me. And yeah, inflation is naturally going to occur, but job availability and wages have not proportionally grown. The global population has increased so dramatically that getting a job has been more vicious than ever. I remember my friend's dad telling me about how he became a computer engineer by reading a book about coding that he got from the library. Let me repeat that. He went to a library, read one book, and got a white-collar job. Now, more people are continuing school for years and years because the bar to get a job has just gotten that much higher. The number of people holding master's degrees in America has more than doubled since 2000. The advancement of technology has destroyed a lot of jobs that you used to be able to do without having to finish college. LinkedIn is so bad for my mental health. It's just a platform for people to show off their competition about scoring more and better internships than other people. This ultra-expensive, ultra-competitive era means a lot of those grown-up dreams we had as a kid are forced to be put on pause. A bigger house? Maybe not. Plan a nice wedding and raise a nice family? Put it on hold. I gotta go to law school, son. The pressure to grow up has also become a heavier burden to bear with the explosion of social media. Before the World Wide Web, kids were largely surrounded by other kids their own age. And of course, they knew celebrities and models existed, but they weren't constantly exposed to their content. When kids grow up on social media, they're surrounded by praise for the teenagers or kids that look and live like grown-ups. I know when I was little, I certainly wanted to be like the cool 20-year-olds who partied all day and who were admired by everyone. There are so many minors on social media these days that you would have never guessed were under 18. Cynthia Parker, Verena, Sienna, this 06 girl who looks older than me? And they go viral for looking beautiful, gorgeous, hot, confident. Kids look at the huge number of likes and comments that these people get and conclude that they too would be more valuable if they weren't so childish. They too need to grow up to be loved. Not the eat your vegetables, oh you're so cute type of love, but the kind of love that says you are independent. You are an individual. I think this feeds children a very misleading narrative about what it's like to be a teenager or an adult. Even in the kids' movies where the teenager or adult does go through hardships, maybe a breakup or a job loss, they eventually get some happy ending, or they get all inspirational about how this hardship makes them a better person in the end. We spend so much of our childhood dreaming about growing up that only when we are grown up do we realize the reality of adulthood and begin to appreciate the old days. But by then, it's too late. Along with this is the hypersexuality that's emerged over the past few years. There's been a significant increase in the number of popular songs that are super explicit. You'll have 12-year-olds dancing with smiles to And look, if flaunting your sexuality is what makes you confident, I am not here to stop you. You go. But I do have a problem with hypersexuality becoming the poster board for feminism. There's a lot of women that don't want to approach feminism from this angle or find sexuality to be super important to their womanhood. I think the rise of KIDCORE is a natural antithesis to the rise of hypersexuality and the rise of looking 8 years older than your actual age. It's really interesting to see how KIDCORE differs from other aesthetics like Lolita or sexuality altogether in wanting to retain that innocence and carefree nature. I saw this tweet once that said something along the lines of, your 20s are just liking things that you used to like as a kid except without shame. I think that's why a lot of people are incorporating parts of KIDCORE into their aesthetic, but still maintaining a sense of adulthood. It's us trying to grasp the respect and value that comes from being a grown-up, while also trying to enjoy the things that once made us happy. Because, let's face it, it can be hard to be a happy 20-year-old. When COVID becomes less of a problem and our lives return back to the way they once used to be, will KIDCORE still retain its popularity? People are definitely going to be partying it up, so I see it going in two possible paths. It either amplifies our inner child even further, or we decide adulthood is bearable again, and that yearning for our childhood fades. I find aesthetics that we invent extremely interesting because there's always cultural, social, and political reasons behind why we create them and when we do. It tells us a lot about what we want, what we value, and what we struggle with. Please share your thoughts about KIDCORE or anything else I talked about down in the comments. You can like and subscribe if you want to hear more talks like this, and if you want me to discuss some other aesthetic out there, please let me know. I would love to do that. Thank you a ton for watching. I hope you stay safe, and I hope to hear from you soon as well. Bye! My brain.